So in GoldenEye, whenever you aim with a weapon, you're not aiming in with the iron sights of it. Instead, you're just simply zooming in. And well, I bring this up because it's just really funny that when you get the sniper rifle, it has this huge ass scope on it. And it's just so comedic to me to see that oversized scope just sitting there and taking so much of the screen up, despite not serving a function. It's always interesting to think of the zombies map lineup in Black Ops 2, since like it kinda completely evens out on itself, with it having two of the worst maps of the whole series, Transit and Die Rise, but also housing two of the best maps of the whole series, Mob of the Dead and Origins, and then Nuketown and Buried are stuck right in the middle, with their quality being average. So in the first Dead Rising game, there was the ability to take pictures, and from these pictures you would get experience points. And well, this was just a really neat mechanic. And well, I bring this up because when this ability returned for the first time in Case West, it kinda didn't work properly. Like, you could take pictures and I believe even like save them like in the first game. It's just that for whatever reason, the game doesn't give you experience points when you take pictures anymore. And it's just like, I really hate it when games bring back a mechanic from older games and like don't do it correctly, because it kinda makes the addition of the camera in this game feel kinda pointless. So GTA games have many great and memorable missions throughout them, like in San Andreas getting the jetpack from Area 69, that's always a fun one, or the bank heist in Vice City, but throughout the series there has also been many infamously hated missions. And well, I always kinda wondered what would be considered like the definitive worst mission, because there really is a lot to choose from, whether it be covering 8-Ball in GTA 3 or flying that toy helicopter in Vice City, or racing Hillary to make him your getaway driver in that crappy car, or flying the other toy airplane for Zero and taking out Berkeley's men, or even in the modern games like in GTA 4 where you need to go into that abandoned building and have like a stupidly hard shootout, then you need to lose a 4-star wanted level, or in GTA 5 with everyone's favorite, Yoga. And this is just talking about the main games. For all I know, there's something worse hiding out in like the stories or GTA Advanced or even Chinatown Wars. I feel like every true Sonic fan needs to go on the pilgrimage that is playing and beating Sonic 06. You know, something along the lines of suffering through the worst moments of the series. So I guess we could see how far we have come from it. And if not for that, maybe just for the experience to marvel at one of the worst video games of all time, and just see how far down the series sunk, all within the span of a single game. Alright, this one's just a funny story from my childhood. It involving when I first got my original Xbox. And well, the first game I got for the system was The Simpsons Hit and Run. And when we brought it all home, set it all up, and turned it on, I put the disc in, but lo and behold, the game didn't work. So feeling disappointed, I was brought back to the GameStop in order to get a new disc. And once I got home, I put the new disc in, and again, the thing didn't work. And since my parents didn't want to go back, I'm pretty sure we had to wait till the next day to get a proper disc that actually worked. The third time was definitely the charm. It's funny to think that with all the gameplay footage that I've amassed throughout the years that I barely use any of it. Like, I'll use literal seconds for the shorts, or at the most like a few minutes in my actual videos. But overall, I would say that I've used like less than 5% of my overall footage in all of my current videos and shorts combined. And I mean, this does make sense. I don't tend to make the longest of videos. But it is a bit bizarre to think that there's a good large chunk of gameplay footage that will probably never see the light of day. So the whole entire plot to SpongeBob Lights Camera Pants is that you're trying to find actors for a new special Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode. And the way the actors are selected is after a set of mini-games, whoever did the best overall within them gets the role for that specific scene. But this is how it's done in the console version. Meanwhile, on the PC version of this game, you need to do tasks for people in order for them to join you as actors. And well, I bring this all up because I always felt like the PC version did this better, where at the end you get to choose which actors go into which scenes, as opposed to the console version where if you just dominate, it's always just going to be your character throughout the entire thing. I remember I loved to do this little glitch in the Blackout lobbies in Blackout 4, where you would get a vehicle like a truck was always the best thing to use, and bring them to the construction site and then have an elevator like crush them. And although most of the time it would just blow up the vehicle, some of the time you would get lucky and it would just fling it across like the whole map. And this was really fun to do, although it was always annoying because people would always shoot the car. But it was always definitely worth it because just look at this. So in Ray's final mission in GTA 3, you need to get him to the airport. But this is nowhere near easy because you're not only on a time limit, but there's people with like M16s covering the bridges so you can't use them. So instead you need to find an alternative route through the tunnel system. And well, I bring this all up because the reward Ray gives you for completing this mission is a Bulletproof Patriot. And it's just like you had this thing sitting around that we could have used to make the mission so much easier, but only decided to tell me about it when it was all said and done. What an asshole. So I just replayed through a couple childhood classics, those being the Burger Shop games. And this whole entire game is about trying to serve the food to customers as quickly as you can. And of course, this is easier said than done, since the farther you get into the game, the more stuff you're serving. Especially more so in the sequel when you have to do breakfast and dinner. And well, I bring this all up because I feel like these games are like a multitasker's dream. They would find it so easy to excel at it, and like get perfect scores across all the levels. I mean, they definitely have an easier time than I did, that's for sure. I gotta say that it feels very satisfying when playing the Tropico games and finding a huge cluster of shacks and then proceeding to put like a tenement or apartment building over them and then just quick building it so that group of people finally have a legitimate place to live. So there's always been something that perplexed me in the second level of GoldenEye, it involving the doors, and well, they're all like electronic metal doors, so they open slowly, all of them except for one, which opens up lightning fast, and I just never understood why this specific door does that. And the only honest conclusion I can muster up is that this is supposed to be a beginner's trap, since immediately after opening it, there's 3 dudes there that just open fire on you. And then of course the only other solution I could think of is this is just something that they forgot to fix. So in the Thrillville games, you always had a different themed park, and some of them, if I remember correctly, are like based off the seasons like summer or winter, or another set based off of holidays like Halloween. And while I bring this all up because there are certain rides and attractions that connect to these certain parks, and well, I kinda always felt obligated to put these within their properly themed parks. Like if I had a pirate shootout game, I would put it in the pirate world, or if I had a World War II arcade shooter, I would put it in the war park. And well, I would do this because it would always just seem weird to see something out of place. Like it wouldn't be right to see a Western shootout game within like a future world. So there's something in Scooby-Doo Unmasked that I always found kind of funny, which for a bit of context, there's like a twist villain at the end of this game, and well, before even starting the game, you could find out who it is by going under the extras section and going into the bonus art. And well, one of the things that you could find in here are rough sketches of the ending cutscene, and thus you could spoil the entire game for yourself before you even start playing it. Am I the only one as a kid who thought that Lakitu in Mario Kart 64 had a cigar in his mouth? Like, I know now it's supposed to be like a headset microphone, but as a kid I guess I never paid attention to the speaker on his left ear, instead just solely focusing on the part that's next to his mouth, and well, it just always looked like he had a cigar in his mouth. And it's kind of funny because even as a kid I was like, how the hell did they get that into this game? It's always funny to think about San Andreas and how quickly the plot point or the story significance of the jetpack is like dropped immediately. Like you go into Area 69 to get it, and then you use it to get the alien green goo, and then that's just literally it. It just sits at the abandoned airfield for the rest of the game. Or at least I should say that's all the times it's required to be used. And I'm just saying it would have been neat to have more missions with it. Especially considering story-wise, there realistically should have been a mission where the military tries to take it back. Alright, so in Battle for Bikini Bottom, you're trying to collect golden spatulas. And they're a pretty rare commodity considering that there's only 100 of them within the game. And well, I bring this all up because it's funny to think how rare they are in this game, but then if you go back a couple games back to Super Sponge, they're all over the place. They're just completely littering the roads and the sidewalks. And again, it's just funny to think that if they were as common as they were in that game, SpongeBob would have gotten to Roboplankton without breaking a sweat. So in Fallout New Vegas, you have the ability to disguise yourself as a member of a certain faction. Like if you put on an NCR uniform, you're a member of them, or if you put on a Caesar's Legion uniform, you're a member of them. But of course, this also means that enemies of that faction are immediately hostile against you. And well, I bring this all up because there's one piece of armor to a certain faction that doesn't have this applied to it. That being the Enclave armor that you could acquire. And well, I understand why it's not applied to this specific armor, because if it was, literally everyone would just shoot you on sight. But still, it's just funny to think of like the enemy of everyone just hanging around and no one caring. So Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is a game that takes place far off into the future, with spaceships, jetpacks, robots, and all that good stuff. But Infinite Warfare is also a game with a zombies mode whose first map takes place in the 80s. More specifically an amusement park with music from that decade playing throughout. And well, I bring this all up because in the campaign credits, all the music that's used is, well, put in the credits. And it's just that there's this really funny scenario in my head of someone who didn't even bat an eye at zombies beating the campaign and being very confused on why all these song names are appearing. And like trying to remember if he ever heard some of them while playing or if they were part of an Easter egg he didn't do. Or just questioning why they're appearing at all. So I just realized this like the other day, that we've basically gotten to the point where modern gaming consoles are old now, since I realized that the freaking Xbox 360 turns 20 this year, and I suppose the PS3 and even the Wii turn 20 next year. And it's just like, wow, it's really been that long? Man, I'm getting old. So this is just a pretty funny realization I had, that being when you're playing literally like any GTA game, everyone just has their car doors unlocked, allowing you to just always open them and take their car, which I get is for the gameplay so you can get into them, but it's just a funny thought that no one locks their doors, everyone just wants their car to get taken. Except for the police, they're the only ones smart enough to actually lock their doors. So in Chapter 3 of Paper Mario 2, there's always been a question I had involving it, more specifically at the part where you need to escape the locker room. Because when you do so, you just go through this like little room with like a TV in it, and this is showing that someone is like living in or hiding out in the walls. And this is like backed up by the fact that this room is connected to the toilet, and there's like always someone in there. And well, it just always bugged me that there was never an answer for whose room this was. So here's something in Sonic 1 I never understood, it involving the special stages, or more specifically how to get into them, which as we know is to get to the end of a level with 50 rings and then jump into the big warp ring. And this is doable on every level, except for some reason the last level's Scrap Brain Zone, where if you actually do manage to get to the end with 50 rings, there's just no warp ring. It doesn't appear at all, and honestly the only reason I can guess it not appearing is simply because the people who made the level didn't expect you to make it to the end with 50 rings, so they didn't even bother putting it in there. So when it comes to San Andreas, I can't remember that many missions where the game actually asks you to buy something during a mission, outside of like the really early one where you need to go and get a haircut, then buy food, or the one really late in the game where you have to follow the girl, then buy the gimp suit. And I'm just sitting here wondering, what does the game do if you have no money for these? Like, will the mission fail because you don't have enough money, or will it put you into debt, or will it just expect you to go out and quickly like kill someone for money?